Hi, Aries, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your November 2021 new moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Aries be affected by the November 2021 new moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Oh goodness, there we go. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. At the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have strength, which is Leo energy coming through at our root, and we have the world. So there is going to be a battle that we're facing, all right, that's going to open up the world for us, or there's a shift in the energy around us that's opening up the world. Now, this could have to do with a Leo, most definitely. If we have Leo energy in our natal chart, that part of our personality is going to come through very strongly, and it's going to be changing things. We're going to find that this is a time of change, so that's why it's kind of funny, but we're going to find that we are really accelerating things in a way that surprises us. In our inner self, we have the Seven of Cups, our dreams, and we have the Two of Cups, unity and love. Then we have our emotional self. We have the King of Wands, that's us, we're fire sign energy, that's also amplifying the Leo energy here at our root, but we're represented by the Wands in the minor arcana. We're represented by the Emperor in the major arcana. And then we have the Eight of Wands. Things are happening really fast. And we have the Queen of Wands. I love this. Okay, so whenever we have the king and the queen from the same suit, from the same deck in a reading, that's a true love connection, a soulmate connection. There's also a sense of security coming forward. There's almost a sense of, I've just come home. And that's going to be a really, really beautiful thing. We have transformation here, which is a huge part of this time, and we'll get to things astrologically in just a moment, but we can really see things changing, and it's this sense of this change around our prosperity, around maybe even our way of viewing our ancestry or those around us who support us, who love us. We have judgment right here, which brings forgiveness, but it's kind of like we're coming out of the box that we were put in. We could have put ourselves in there, or somebody else might have. And then we have the Ten of Swords. We've completed the cycle mentally with something, and there's great strength that comes from that emotionally, because we're releasing this. It's like this overthinking, this overanalyzing, this over almost indulgence of thought, but in a very negative, energy draining sense. We're starting to forgive ourselves for it, and we're starting to release it into the world and not have it weigh us down. All right. So there's going to be this huge sense of, I'm moving in the direction that I need to be, even if it's a direction that people don't fully understand. It moves us to our energy to be mindful of. So let's see this. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels. We have the King of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. The energy around the King of Pentacles is, first of all, one of tremendous authority, of money, of wealth and prosperity, of, this is the way it's supposed to be, the planting of the seeds and the seeing how they are nourished and how they come forward. So with the King of Pentacles here, we just have to be very mindful that we can fall into the trap of thinking that if it doesn't have value, then it's not worth anything. And what did Coco Chanel say? The best thing in life are free, but the second best are very expensive. We can be focusing on the very expensive part of the best things in life, and not the things that you'll never be able to get back. The laughter, the joy, the happiness, the sense of community and connection. That's also very important. And sometimes when we get too in this kind of business mode, this kind of, business-minded mode, we forget everything else. So be mindful of the King of Pentacles here. Also be very mindful. This is going to be a time where we don't like to be told what to do, and we can be rebelling against authority figures in a very real way. So just be aware of that. Then we have our chakra energy, angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. So we have two coming up. We have the soul star chakra located 6 inches above our crown, which is the soul's healing. And we have the crown chakra, which is peace. So we have healing coming forward during this time to bring us peace, to establish us in peace, to help us move forward in peace, in harmony, and in understanding of self and what we desire. So there's a door opening. And as we start to see that door, as we start to connect, there is a sense of we're becoming more aware of our body. We're becoming more aware of what we want. We're becoming more aware of the way that we're moving forward. Now, this new moon on the 4th of November is the new moon in Scorpio. And this says work through your fears. So we're going to go over the astrological aspect of this time. Now, the new moon is always the sun conjunct the moon, which always represents the end of one cycle, the beginning of another. So this is a very energy-packed time. With this sense of clear direction, it comes a burst of energy, insight, and we really start to see what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it. We feel like things are starting to come within balance, and this sense of balance is going to be disrupted by other astrological aspects, but we have this sense of balance, and we're also feeling ourselves more balanced within our emotions. Like, we know what we emotionally need, we know what we emotionally want. Now, this could be in contrast with what other people emotionally need and emotionally want, but we have this very good sense of ourselves. This is an excellent time for beginnings. This is also an excellent time for endings. So if we want to begin something that we've put off, this is the time to begin it. If we need to finish up something that seems to just never end, this is the time to finish it. And that's going to be very important for us to be able to have this sense of completion during this time. Now, the new moon is going to be opposite Uranus, which brings the struggle for independence. It also brings our struggles to the forefront. So this can be a time where we just feel like we're not being heard. We just feel like everything's on our shoulders. We feel, overwhelmed, and as if the plights that we've been silent about, now we're not going to be silent anymore. So just be aware of that for us, because there can be moments where it would be best to kind of step back and say, okay, what's the energy that I need to embrace here? Why do I feel this way? And yet we're going to run straight forward and say, okay, I'm just going to conquer this right now. So do be mindful here. Make sure you have all your information before you go after anything. We want to be ourselves. That's it. We want to be ourselves. We want to figure out who exactly that is, where exactly we want to be. We don't want anybody else making demands of us. And we feel like we need this time. We just need this time to connect. Things can become chaotic as change comes on all of a sudden and unexpectedly. We can feel blindsided during this time. And blindsided is going to be something that's around us. It's like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? What we don't understand is that, or what we might find difficult to understand, is that it's been building up in the other person for a while and they just explode, kind of like a third grade volcano experiment thing. It can take us time to adjust. We're going to just need to inhale, exhale, and keep an open mind. we can't be so hard on ourselves. And we also need to understand that we don't know exactly where the other person is coming from. So having that open sense of communication is going to be everything. We need to embrace our desires for the new and the unusual. We need to step out of our comfort zone, and we need to go on an adventure. Even if it's a very small adventure, we need to go on that adventure. Mercury is going to be sextile Venus, which brings the harmony. Here when we have the moon opposite Uranus, it brings the chaos. It does. It brings the intensity and the chaos and the power. But with Mercury sextile Venus, we have communication coming forward. We have love coming forward. We really see that in our inner selves. As we're looking at our dreams, we're looking at what we want, and we're starting to open up the door. So when Uranus brings, the new moon opposite Uranus brings this unexpected change. Mercury sextile Venus helps us to center ourselves and to make sense of the chaos and to be aware of ourselves and to embrace communication for what we want, what we need, and the way that we want to move forward. It very much comes into alignment with the sun conjunct the moon energy that the new moon always brings. Now, things may seem overwhelming, but we have this energy to center ourselves. We have this energy of comprehension that comes from Mercury sextile Venus that we need to utilize during this time. Mercury sextile Venus brings love and friendship and cooperation and communication and compromise. It brings people and ideas together, even as the moon opposite Uranus has us wanting to go out on our own and just pave our own way and be these, kind of pioneers for ourselves. Mercury sextile Venus is going to be that anchor that says, no man is an island. Don't think that everything has to be done by yourself, because we're actually going to find that we need people during this time. Now, the star alignment during this new moon is quite interesting. We'll start with the constellation of the Crown, which heightens artistic ability, and it brings this love for flowers forward. So we might find ourselves really just liking having fresh cut flowers in the house, or even fake flowers just around, or very drawn to floral prints. However it is, we're going to find this love for flowers coming forward, and I just find that whimsical and beautiful and centering. Now, it also brings, the Crown also heightens our mental weariness and our disillusionment, because we've had so much on our plate and we've been dealing with so much. So we can really feel like enough is really quite enough. I'm done with this and I'm not going to put up with this. Now, the fixed star, Alphecca, is of the nature of Mercury and Venus. And this is where the fixed star is within the constellation of the Crown. And this is where the energy kind of gets settled again. We have that centering, beautiful energy. Because, Venus and Mercury are already making their debut, during this time with Mercury sextile Venus. They play a huge part. And this brings honor and dignity while embracing our artistic and poetic abilities. So with the fixed star, Alphecca, what we start to find is that we can center ourselves. Now, we're going to be weary of certain things that have just been grating on us. This is going to be the time where it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. There's going to be something very little that if you said it to a person, they'd be like, really? That was too much? Like, you put up with all of this, but that little tiny thing over there, like that one speck of dirt, that was too much. And it's going to be yes. And it's going to be a heartfelt, deeply meaningful yes. So the constellation of the Cross also comes into play during this time. And it gives us this perseverance, but it can also bring us burdens, hardships, and suffering, because we have this perseverance. We have the sense of, I can almost endure anything during this time, but sometimes what I need to endure is quite out of the realm of what I want to endure. The fixed star, Arcus, is within this constellation of the Crown, and it is of the nature of Jupiter. Now, this brings religion and spiritual inclinations to the forefront. It also has us inclined towards ceremonies and, justice. We're going to see things in a different light. Now, we can also become intrigued with other religions, other, practices, other ideas, opening up our mind, seeing ceremonies, maybe even without the religion in them, but just seeing the beauty of them for themselves. That's going to be something that's very powerful for us. We become called to the magic of this world and become told to see the magic, to embrace the magic. And that's where the strength comes in at our root. There is a sense of, I'm facing a storm. And that storm is the new moon opposite Uranus. That storm is everything inside of us bubbling forward and being like, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm done with this nonsense. I'm done with the anger. I'm done with the hurt. I'm done with the pain. I'm standing for what I want, what I believe in, and where I need to be. And that's, excuse me, and that's calling forward new power here as we embrace what is absolutely a part of us. it moves us to the world. It's almost as if now that we stood up for ourselves, now that we stated what needed to be stated, now that we embraced what needed to embrace, all of a sudden we see the world in a very different way, and we see ourselves in a very different way. We're going to start to embrace changes. We're going to start to kind of like stand taller and see things differently, and also start to say, what is it that I want from this world? How is it that I want to move forward? Not in that egocentrical, it's all about me sort of way, but in that way of I matter. My desires, my wants, my needs, my heart, my dreams, they matter. And what it brings us to is our inner self of our dreams coming forward. And these are the dreams that we've put on the back shelf. These are the dreams that we haven't connected with in quite some time, or life got in the way. And it's always like, okay, one day I'll connect with this, or one day I'll see this. And now Spirit's like, well, what about today? What about our dreams? What about our desires? What about what we want, what we need? We can also be calling ourselves out. Maybe we have been anxious and sad, a bit depressed, a bit overwhelmed. And now Spirit is saying to us, why are you carrying this burden? And forgetting everything that you wanted, everything that you desired, every place that you wanted to step forward in. Now, I'm a firm believer in responsibilities. I believe they shape us, they form us, and they're important. We can't just run away from them. But to bring our dreams with our responsibilities, to have the two come together, that's when life becomes beautiful. And Spirit's saying here, don't forget your dreams. Because there's a sense of unity coming from this earthly plane and the spiritual plane, the imaginative plane coming forward. And Spirit's saying here, take care of yourself, rest, sleep, dream, look, understand, open up the door, see what it is that you want, but also see what it is that has been denied, what has always been put on the back shelf. Are we the type of person who says, well, this is what I really want, and so if it's what I really want, I'm not going to take time for it? Or are we the type of person that says, this is what I really want, because it's what I really want, I'm going to forge it forward? And sometimes, the two extremes are never ideal, right? Because if the person's like, this is what I really want, I'm going to just forge it forward, we can become discouraged because it didn't end up the way that we wanted to, or it didn't work out at all. And now we're discouraged and angry and upset and frustrated, and we feel like we've lost something sacred to us. Or if we've put it on the back shelf, there is a sense of, well, one day, and the one day never comes. And then we become angry, upset, again, discouraged, because we're not at the place that we want it to be. Spirit's saying here, to move forward in love, of our dreams, to move forward in love of what we want, of how we want to move forward, of who we are, of where it is that we want to be, of what it is that we imagine, and what it is that we see within ourselves. The Two of Cups is a sense of unity. It's a sense of connection. And as the Emperor, we can which is how we're represented in the major arcana, we can think, I only need myself. I only need to have everything figured out, have a good plan, have, proper people around me to do their due diligence, and I can just get it done. And Spirit's saying here, no, connect with the heart, because you're going to be surprised at how important the heart is to you. Because your heart here, Aries, that's where you live. I mean, that's like the tap dance, the jig, the absolute embrace of the self right here that is coming forward. We have the King and the Queen of Wands. Soulmate connection, true love connection, this sense of I am in my body, I am in myself, I know who I am. So we can be saying, I don't know who I am. But with this new moon opposite Uranus, we're calling ourselves out. We're figuring it out. We're trying to find out what is so intrinsically important to us. We're transforming. This time brings a lot of change for us. We might not even be aware of the powerful change going on around us. We might not be aware of that person that's championing us, or that idea that's coming our way, or the fact that Spirit is lining things up in this beautiful moment, in this beautiful way, for us to kind of happen upon some sort of change that has us seeing ourselves. Now, the King of Wands is fierce and determined and focused and fiery and all about transformation, all about we cannot stay stagnated. We must rise from the ashes. The Queen of Wands, for me, is always Hestia. And also Hecate. So Hecate in Greek mythology was the goddess of magic, but Hestia is the goddess of the hearth. And I love Hestia's story. I tell it all the time. So Hestia gave up Olympus, gave up being one of the main goddesses because it was going to start another war. It was going to start another chaotic time. And she said, enough. We already finished fighting the Titans. We've already taken Olympus. Why do we need to continue the massacre? Why do we need to continue this chaos? And so she stepped down. And by stepping down, she became the fire that was burnt in every person's home in Greek and Roman times. And so here, what we're going to find is that as we're transforming, as we're changing, as we're embracing this fire, there is the sense of, I do not need the battle. I do not need the battle, the fight, the chaos that I thought I needed. And it can be that we start to recognize our passion, our creativity, our power, our purpose in a very different way. We start to see ourselves in a very different way. And it doesn't mean that we need to, forget how the rest of the world sees us, but we need to start focusing on how we see ourselves, what we desire, what we want, and how we're moving forward, who it is that we are. And that brings a new dawn. That also brings a fierceness to us. We become like a lioness. We become this fierce hunter, this fierce, protector of what needs to be done and how we need to move forward. We can feel more, though, like a tiger at times, more solitary than the pack of lions. So do be mindful of that. But there is this sense here of power and intensity coming forward, and at the middle of it, at the heart of it, at the heart of our heart, is this change that happens all at once. It can be blindsiding change, it can be earth-shattering change, it can be slow change, where it's just you look around and say, it's time to declutter, or it's time to, start that project that I've always wanted to start, pick up the paints or pick up the pencils, or, open up the laptop and begin. And we're going to find that something comes on us and it affects our hearts rather intensely, rather powerfully, and it moves us in a direction that we didn't think we would be going in. But all of a sudden we're like, why wasn't I heading in this direction before? In the public arena, during this moon, we're finding ourselves rising out of darkness. We're finding ourselves rising out of the box that we were put in, out of the way that we thought it was supposed to be. And now we're embracing who we are, what we want, what we need, what we desire. But we're also finding that this is just a game-changing time. And as the game is changed, as we see things differently, as we see ourselves differently, as we are powerful and insightful and passionate, there's beauty to it. There's magic to it, because we're coming out of that box, that place of confinement, that place of, this is where you have to be, this is how it has to be. And Spirit's saying here, no, it's time to jump forward. It's time to embrace who we are. And it moves us to the Ten of Swords. It moves us to this place of completion, yes, but to this place of where we see every single year the sword that we had stamped in our back. Every single time, this hurt, this pain, this disappointment, this anger, this upset that we have been through, we see it, and now we acknowledge it as having made us into stronger people, having changed maybe even the trajectory of our whole entire lives, because we've had to face this disability, this setback, this hurt, this betrayal, this pain. And the knowledge that comes from it is so much more than we ever thought we would accumulate within our lives. And that becomes the game changer. That becomes the time where it's like, oh, I see why. And now we're armed with the swords. We take them out of our backs, and we're armed with this knowledge. We're armed with this insight. We're armed with this tenacity. And it brings us to our Luna message. So let's see what the moon has to say for herself. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels. So at our bottom, at our root, is a personal issue reaches resolution. Fear. But we fear it. We fear stepping out of the shell. We fear what we have to face that we don't want to face. We fear the battle that needs to be going on. Nothing will come of the situation. What we are fearing is not necessarily what's going to come forward. Peace. So that's what the moon is saying. It's like nothing will come the way we're thinking right now. So with the void, of course, what happens is, when that happens, is that it muddles things. Like, we have this idea of, oh, this is how it's going to be. You know how if you have something going on and you're out on a date or something like that, and it's like, oh, this is how it's going to be, and you daydream about it, and it all goes so perfectly, and then when you're actually in it, it's as far from the daydream as you could absolutely imagine. That's what's going on with the void, of course. That's what the void, of course, always brings. It brings this unexpected, change of events that really throws us off our game. But we need to be at peace, because we're going to find this energy coming forward because of the moon opposite Uranus, but also because of, us trying to figure out just a little bit more than Spirit wants us to know. Our emotional selves says here, adjustments are required. Faith. Have faith in what's growing within you. Have faith of what's building around you, within you, towards you, what's moving you forward. And then we have, don't let pride get in the way. Purity. It's like, take out the pride. Take in the purity of self, of what we want. The freshly driven snow, when you look outside the window and everything's just blanketed in snow and it's quiet and it's beautiful and it's serene. What is that to you? Like, what is that for you? If we take out the imagery of the snow, if we could have that in our lives, what does that look like? And not letting pride get in our way has that same Leo energy coming up that's at our root, where we have the strength, where we have Leo coming. And it says, here, take the ego out. Take the ego out and put the self in. And I know that sounds like the same exact thing, but it's not. It's like, what if we didn't worry about what everybody thought? What if we followed our path? What if we embraced our voice? What if we saw ourselves the way divinity saw ourselves? Just for a moment, just for an instant. What would that look like? What would that be? And is that so beyond the realm of our comprehension that we don't even know? Like, it's just even scary to think about. And that's where the fear comes in, because the personal issue is reaching a resolution. And it's the personal issue of the way that we're connecting with ourselves, the way that we're connecting with what we desire from the world, the way we're coming out of this box, this trap. And we're afraid of it. We're afraid of the unknown, and we're afraid of the power of our inner selves. It moves us to our subconscious Luna message, which says the answers you need are coming. Pleasure. It's time to take pleasure in our lives. It's time to embrace that pleasure. Our subconscious energy to be mindful of is the Chariot. It's moving forward only with emotions. It's going after things with our subconscious and our conscious not aligning. It's, being so forceful, being so emotionally, we have extremes here at this time. Okay, so we have the practical coming in with the King of Pentacles. It's like, okay, I'm going to be so practical. I'm going to have everything done out. And then we're going to flip the coin and want to be the Chariot, which a negative Chariot is just somebody who charges forward only with emotions, only saying, well, this is what I feel, this is what I feel, this is what I feel, with nothing substantiating it. And yes, feelings are important, but we all know those people who live in chaos because they're only ruled by their emotions. And we all know those people who live in loneliness because they're only ruled by their mind. We need a balance. And it brings us to our subconscious chakra energy, which is life purpose, which is our third chakra. We're speaking into this world, our life purpose, because we're finding ourselves, we're seeing ourselves, we're understanding ourselves. We're ascending. Our subconscious rooted message is temperance. This is Sagittarius energy, but it's finding strength. It's finding strength in the big, bold things that we sit there and we're like, oh yeah, that's strength. And we're finding strength in the tiny little things that can easily be overlooked. We're starting to find balance and understanding in ourselves. It moves us to our subconscious inner self. And that's the Five of Wands. During this time, we're going to kind of be itching for a fight. We are. We're going to sit there and say, you know what, that's it. Gloves off. I'm ready for it. I'm going after it. And Spirit's saying here, step back. Step back. Things aren't going to be as they seem. And we have to understand that a lot of personal desires, a lot of things that have held people back or that have made people feel small or quiet are coming to a head. And so everybody's just going to be itching for a fight just a little bit. And we need to look internally at the chaos within us, the chaos that we're so used to, and say, why? Why am I perpetuating that? Why am I letting that move me forward? It moves us to our subconscious emotional self. And that's the High Priestess. The veil is being lifted from our eyes. We're seeing things that others haven't seen. We're connecting with magic that, the world didn't embrace anymore. And it doesn't have to be ancient mystical magic, but it can be if that's what we want it to be. But it's that sense of, I'm looking beyond the veil. I'm looking beyond what everybody wants me to see. And I'm seeing what's truly there. I'm seeing the person. I'm seeing the insight. I'm seeing the idea. I'm seeing the passion. I'm seeing the brilliance. And all of a sudden, there is more knowledge within me than I ever knew I needed, I ever knew I wanted. We can feel overwhelmed by it because it can be something that at times we don't want. But the knowledge that we're gaining, especially from our hearts, that becomes the game changer for us. And we find, because we have both the King and the Queen of Wands there, the King and the Queen of who we are, this knowledge, this insight, this magic, this sense of I'm connecting with me, and also this magic that, just the magic of existence, of the world, of beauty, of wonderment, starts coming forward, and we start to become astoundingly powerful because of it. And it moves us to our subconscious public arena self, and it's the Knight of Wands. Now, impulsiveness, yes, we can be astoundingly impulsive, but the Knight of Wands is us as a defender. We're a defender, we're a go-getter, we're a person who's not going to sit back on their laurels and say, well, things will happen. It's like, yes, of course things will happen, but I'm going to help them along. I'm going to, push this in the direction that I want, that I need, that I'm longing for now. And sometimes it can seem counterintuitive to this kind of like lay back, see what happens sort of mentality. But Spirit's saying here, as long as we don't let the ego get in the way, as long as we're not obsessing about what people think about us and how people will perceive us, and what everybody else will do, and we just start saying, what do I need in my life? What makes me happy? What brings a smile to my face? What brings peace and groundedness to me? And then all of a sudden we start to just head in that direction, and it starts to take off. Okay, and we start to take off. All right, Aries, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the pleasure that this new moon can bring. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Aries, and may you have a blessed moon.